Hi everyone, welcome to the October 2020 edition of Farsight's Human News, the news show that tells you what's going to happen, not what did happen. I'm Courtney Brown, director of the Farsight Institute. Now, here we forecast the major news events that will happen during the month of October 2020. Get out the popcorn, folks. This is a biggie. But before we jump in, let me remind you that our apps for Android and iPhone cell phones and pads are out now. The apps are free, and for Androids, go to the Play Store and search for Farsight. For iPhones and iPads, go to the Apple App Store and search for Farsight TV. The apps are named slightly differently for the Android and Apple systems. Farsight for Android and Farsight TV for Apple. Either way, you just download and install the free app, and then sign on using the same email and password that you've used all along on the web at farsightprime.com. Using the apps, you can cast your flat panel TV, and you can even download our movies and watch them offline. It's just like the normal apps that you use for, say, Hulu, Netflix, and so on. The apps give you great flexibility and mobility when watching Farsight content. Now, this is important. Our next major mysteries project will be released on the 15th of October, and it is Ra, the Sun God. That's right. Now look, I know there are a lot of Ra followers out there, especially since the publication of the book, The Law of One. This is one of our most important projects, and it fits into a larger historical narrative that we have been developing, one project at a time. If you want to know about Earth's true history, you need to see this project. I'm not going to say much about it now, but you will need to watch it sitting down. October 15th, only on farsightprime.com. Now, at Farsight, we are going to be enhancing our live streams starting this month, October 2020. We have decided to publish our live streams at a regular time so that everyone who wants to can prepare and join the live stream presentations and ask questions. So starting October 3rd, in just a few days, we will be starting a weekly live stream broadcast that will occur each Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Now this Saturday we will have Trudy Benjamin, who will be talking about a special topic and answering questions. We have put a lot of resources into doing this right, so I hope you can make it. The following Saturday and each Saturday after that at 4 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, we will have a new live stream presentation. Everyone is free to join live, but the recordings of the events will only be on farsightprime.com. So there are two ways that you can find the live streams. You can sign up for our free email newsletter that you can find on our website, or you can go to Farsight's YouTube channel at 4 p.m. Eastern U.S. time each Saturday. We will be there, and you will be amazed at what we will do on those live streams. So here's a summary of the major stuff happening on farsightprime.com, our streaming service. And remember that our apps are out now. On farsightprime.com, you get all of our major releases, past, present, and future. Plus, we have the extraterrestrial news show, Farsight's ET News, that is published on the 7th of each month, a week after this show that you're watching now. You also get the Farsight Intelligence Briefing hosted by myself, which will occur this month on Sunday, October 25th, which is a bit later than usual so that it can be closer to the end of the month. After you see today's Human News show that you are watching now, you will understand why it is so important for this month. This intelligence briefing is live streamed only to our farsightprime.com subscribers each month. Subscribers can join and ask questions live. And again, as I've already mentioned, we have also the Farsight live streams on YouTube that are scheduled for each Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time and featuring different people at Farsight each week. And then on the 15th of each month, our next major mysteries project, and in October 2020, it is Ra, the Sun God. Additionally, on farsightprime.com, we have our economic forecast that comes out during the third week of the month. Just a few days ago, we released a 2-month forecast for oil. These monthly economic forecasts give us a window into the larger picture of the developing human drama. The next one is out in just a few weeks, during the third week of October. And again, how do you hear about these things so that you can participate and get the latest when they happen? Well, we use our email list and YouTube to make our major event announcements. So there are two things that you need to do. First, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel and remember to click on the notifications bell that appears after you do that. So that is the only way YouTube will notify you of the new events. Just subscribing doesn't do anything. The notifications bell is the important part. But that only notifies you of things that we release on YouTube. To be notified about the things that we release on farsightprime.com, which you can watch using our Apple and Android apps or on the web, you need to subscribe to our free email newsletter, found on our website at farsight.org. Those are the only two ways you can hear about the live streams and all of our other new events. Be sure to do both. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Farsight, and subscribe to our free email newsletter on our website. The links are in the description area below this video. Those are how we announce what we do. We never send out spam, and we never give our subscriber list to anyone else for any purpose. Also, you can enable notifications in the settings for your Farsight apps so that the apps can notify you of new content whenever it is uploaded. Our final announcement is that we are expecting to release a major new 5-year forecast on a cryptocurrency this October, part of our Seco series. That will be priced separately and released on our website, farsight.org. So keep on the lookout for it. Remember that our research indicates unambiguously that we live in a universe with multiple timelines. That is a real fact, not fantasy or science fiction. The science of how that can be is largely fleshed out, even if the majority of mainstream physicists have not yet wrapped their heads around it. So, in a situation of multiple timelines, there is no single future that we can identify and describe, since there are an infinite number of past and future timelines. But there are averages, so to speak, across a distribution of timelines, and our viewers have been highly accurate in forecasting the general nature of the news events for each month, even if there have been differences in some of the details. Keep watching each month and see if you can resist the realization that remote viewing is real and truly need to know. And with respect to our forecasts, you need to know. Now, let's move on to this month's news forecast for October 2020. Remember, we could always be wrong, and all remote viewing must be seen as an experiment, not a certainty. But look at the data for yourself. Make your own decisions. And then let's watch the month of October roll out to see what actually happens. We have 5 remote viewers who participated in this month's project: Aziz Brown, Melena Hall, Arkie, Kahmia Dunson, and Trudy Benjamin. These are some of the most astounding reports that I can imagine. And I think it is best if you just watch them yourself without me trying to explain them in advance. So let's begin. However, I will return after all of the reports are presented to help pull everything together.
My first visual is a bunch of structures. They are all signifying that I am in an urban area. Feels like I'm in an urban area. Just a dense mass of structures. There's also a non-surface structure elsewhere. I will draw that in just a second. But yeah, it just seems like a urban area. Seems like there's a little bit of activity. I'll draw that in soon. But yeah, there's this non-surface structure. Sort of seems like it's got some wings on it. And yeah, it's a non-surface structure up in the air. Seems like we've got this expansive urban area. And also it seems like there are sort of reddish, orangish glows in various parts of this urban area, just sort of lights just popping up. I also get a sensation that it's pretty warm in these areas where there's these sort of like reddish, orangish, hot energetics coming up from the urban area, from the cityscape. Alright, so here, giving a bit of a different illustration of these glowing energetics, hot energetics in these urban areas. Alright, just drawing it out over here. So, oopsies. Great. Okay, so here we've got this sort of fiery, hot energetics at the end of this, what looks like a road. And we've got some subjects over here, just some subjects sort of hanging out in front of this area. I should not really say hanging out. It doesn't really seem like a very relaxed environment. It seems quite hectic. But yeah, fiery energetics in the middle of an urban area. It seems like there's some subjects over here. Some of the subjects look very different from the other ones, more uniformed. I'm going to draw one of them over here. Very darkish, sometimes greenish hues. They've got this headgear on, look very uniformed subject and very stoic, just very, very serious look to them, you know, with my drawing skills, you know, very serious look to them. Also, they seem like they've got some sort of a, you know, they got a uniform on, seems like they've got equipment of sort, like this long metallic object that is in at least this one's hands. Many of the other ones also do seem to mimic this type of appearance as well. But yeah, this is just sort of what the more stoic, very serious, uniformed subjects look like. Sort of giving off very dark greens, muted hues and tones. It seems like the most vibrant light that is in this environment is really this fiery energetics. Otherwise, it seems like dark, cloudy skies, some cloud dynamics in the skies, but relatively dark hues environment. Yeah, it seems like it's a dusky environment with these types of subjects, as well as other non-uniformed subjects just sort of running around in the urban area or walking around and just moving. Alright, so zooming in now, it seems like there is a sort of central structure with seems like a lot of steps or something like that, just sort of a more prominent entranceway up to it that's sort of sitting there. And it also seems like there is, you know, the whole environment seems pretty hectic, and there is a bunch of these more uniformed, I'll draw them in green, the uniformed guys, the uniformed subjects with those, you know, more linear shaped, hard metallic objects, the long ones, and they're sort of just sitting there, not sitting there, but they're in a line, and they're holding these objects, and they're facing another group of subjects. And it seems like these guys are pretty stoic, pretty stern, just holding themselves there, standing back. But it also seems like there's this slightly more rowdy, you know, slightly is probably not the right word, it's definitely very rowdy, group of subjects over here who are not anywhere near as organized. These guys seem semi-organized, but they're sort of just in a line together, just sort of holding their ground. And then there's this group of subjects over here. Some of them seem to have objects that they're throwing over here and over there. These guys seem a lot more chaotic, just sort of like, you know, just yelling things, hearing all sorts of sounds. But one thing that happens is that way off, like over a couple structures, there is this sort of sudden rising plume. Like, this isn't that structure, but behind all of those structures, there's this rising plume just moving upwards of relatively fiery, smoky energetics, just bright orangish red hues that I'm seeing just bust out of this urban area off in the distance somewhere. So these uniformed subjects holding their ground, these guys real chaotic, yeah, throwing things, yelling, all sorts of stuff like that. And then just suddenly out of nowhere, over here, way off in the distance, you can see from their location just this fire, just like just a plume of smoky fire just shoot up into the air. So that we're going to have to investigate. Alright, so there is this main structure, and then there's all these other structures around it. And it's not like it has to be the tallest structure, but it's this main structure, and there's all these other structures. We're in an urban area, and this is the object that is, or the structure that is the root of this whole explosive plume of energetics. So when I probe, this is confusing for me. So when I probe for the cause of what I'm about to show you, there is this, okay, well let me put all the actors up on stage. So we've got this non-surface structure right up here. And it looks like it's angular, sort of like a, you know, has these wings types of things and stuff. And I get the sensation that there's like, and I get the visuals as well, that there's like, let me use a yellow color actually. There's this light that is shining down from it. So there's lights on this thing shining down, and there's this fiery energetics that's just like shooting out of here. So when I'm looking for the actual origin of this, I get a combination of perceptions. On one hand, I get the perception that there is inside here a guy with a box. And so I'm going to redraw that over here. So there's this dude, and he's walking around, and he's got a box. Bum, 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 bum. And then I also get the perception, and this is why I'm hesitant to say it's just this guy. This dude with a box, he causes the energetics to happen, this explosive, fiery energetics there. I can't just say that because I have this incredible feeling that the non-surface structure is also involved somehow. And I also get this like simultaneous perception of something up here going down there, and I can't really make heads or tail of the origin of this fiery energetics. But when I make the probe and I say what is the origin of the fiery energetics, I get this flood of multiple things. I get the sensation of this dude here with this box just sort of up there in the top of this big building, and I get the sensation, or big structure, and I get the sensation of this non-surface structure and the possibility of something coming from up to down, and regardless, the net result is the same, this fiery energetics blowing up out of the top of the structure, and this being one of multiple spots of fiery energetics in this very tumultuous, emotionally frustrated urban area, city. And it's all rather chaotic. So this does conclude my data for the target.
So I have a base surface with a regular topography, like a wide, not too long bridge. There's water underneath the bridge, like a large stream of water. Seeing this large grass field. Including trees. In the distance, I see a structure. I see structures look like a town. Very small town in the distance. And I'm hitting these subjects. Seeing a lot of subjects on the bridge. I'm seeing a lot of red color clothing. And also subjects appears to be holding up signs. These subjects are very excited for something. They are very cheerful and a bit rowdy. And this structure they're standing on looks mighty old, like a historical bridge that was built way back then. It still stand here. And the subjects look very old, not too old, but like mid-30s and up. A lot of older subjects, white skin complexion, and they seem to be just on the bridge, marching back and forth, having this celebration. Getting a closer view. Okay. I'm seeing subjects in like suit and tie, walking in front of the others. Holding up this sign, kind of looks like a flag. These subjects look like they're protesting, but it feels like a friendly protest. Not too much yelling. Seems like their voices getting heard from the people they want to like do this for, or show that they are still here. And again, these subjects are wearing a lot of red color clothing. Again, there's water here in the back. And yes, they are marching towards the end of the bridge, and back is like they are owning this area. Again, I have this small, wide bridge filled with subjects. on like the center of the bridge and all the way on the other side, but they are blocking their side and their subjects that are on the other side that are blocking them from going across the bridge. Seeing large vehicles, looks like trucks, on the other side of the bridge, and they're blocking, and it's like, oh, sorry, cut that part off. They're stopping the protesters. Okay, hold on. Okay. These trucks and these other subjects, they're wearing all black. And they have weapons in their hands. And they are blocking these protesters from crossing the bridge. I'm seeing a lot of gray smoke and red smoke. It's coming from both sides of these subjects, and also seeing this light, like sparks, like these protesters are popping fireworks amongst the others and for the whole protest. Again, they have these signs and a lot of people that's very overly excited and chaotic. These people are just hold on, I gotta cut that part off. They really love their town, and it seems like nothing can stop them. But these people that are blocking, they have a military feel, but they don't look like they're in the military. They just seem like very bold, angry people that are against their protests. And it's just loud popping noise. I'm hearing a lot of yells, screams. It feels like it got violent. It's just a lot of things being thrown across this bridge. Okay. These subjects don't look like the others. Feels like a race war on this structure.
Hey Rock, thanks so much for joining me tonight so we can talk about your remote viewing session. You have one heck of an interesting session that's dealing with October 2020, to put it mildly. So let's just go right into it. So
yeah, there's a lot of information,
you,
out there.
a ton of information. Now, I want to remind the audience that Rock uses a form of remote viewing that has multiple impressions, multiple images, visual images that could go throughout the month. So it's not one specific event, but it could be a number of different things that are really highlighted in the events of the month. And so let's just go through them. It's a very eventful month, it looks like. So, Rock, why don't you start with your S4, page 2, which is the first of the major pictures that you've got. Looks like you're up either in the air or somewhere above the surface of the Earth.
Yeah, this was really a shot that I started the session out, and I get this beautiful Earth, familiar picture, and I can see the haze of the atmosphere or the magnetosphere, whatever the layer, protection layer. And what I picked up wasn't a bunch of like big rocks hurtling toward Earth. It was like sort of a floating debris field, and I put Earth is visible. See the bright blue layer, debris field, a centralized area of scattered junk. I got the sense of the lightness of the junk versus the heaviness of any inbound objects, and I didn't really show them hurtling. They were just sort of hanging. And the thing I added was post-action, and that was just came through my mind. Might have been part of the viewing, but I got a sense that this was post some activity.
Yeah, now the audience is going to be looking at, while you're talking, they're going to be looking at your sketch. So, well, you'll be able to, they're seeing what you're seeing, and that's clearly seems like the Earth and some type of debris field, which sort of connects with some of the other stuff you've had in the session. So how about we go to the next page? What do you think?
Sure.
Okay, so this is the next page. This is you're still in S4, page 3. This is violent.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this. I got the sense of tumult, the sense of violent water activity, both warm and cool, or hot and cold, but this violence was an artifact possibly of something else, the churning water, the bubbling water. I just got that sense. Not a whole lot else to it.
So that's in water?
It seems like it, yes, liquid.
Okay, so we don't really know what that is, but it's boiling, churning. Could it be something that crashed into the water, or just something that erupts from within?
No idea, just the churning and of the water and the activity. Could it be a volcano under the sea, or who knows?
Or a crash from something else.
Possibly.
Maybe it might be related to the debris field. All right, so let's actually move on to the next page, which is I
like this one. And I've seen this several times in some of our sessions, but these ospreys, and they're very, very definitive to me. Sometimes they're flying over the property here. They have a unique noise, a unique look and feel, and I got a sense of that type of craft in mass flying over what is depicted as a coastal area, and there could be some sort of nonsense happening over here. As I was rendering this, I couldn't help but plug in a little smoke, as you can see on the landmass.
Yeah, well, those are military. Those are military aircraft. Those are they take off and land vertically, but they can also go horizontally. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the Osprey. You have a bunch of them. That's the interesting thing. That means something is happening.
I mean, it could.
It's not as.
I don't want to action on it or think on it, but that's the picture I got.
Yeah. That's the picture. Okay, that's clear as day. So that's okay. Well, okay. What do you have in the next page?
Page 5.
No, page 5. Yeah, this is a coastal something.
Yeah, and what's interesting, and you'll see this dynamic further into this session. I picked up this topography twice through this session, where I have a fairly steep sloping coastline and scattered boats. And I said landmass near the ocean, boats offshore, and I got a sense that there was some kind of rescue recovery effort going on. There's That's the vibe I picked up as I went through this. I didn't probe it any deeper. You know, we're trying to get overlays and get as much sessions out of this as possible, so I didn't go deeper into it. But I think it's notable it came up twice, and you'll see it further down the line.
Yeah. Okay. But it is interesting that you're starting with a debris field in the air or above the surface of the earth. Then you're getting churning in the water. And then in the water, you get a bunch of boats near a coastline that looks like a rescue operation. So it's easy for us to, they may be totally disconnected events, but they also not. Fit, maybe not, but they also seem to fit into a larger picture. What do you have in the next one?
Let's see.
Page 6.
Oh, this was pretty interesting. So, you know, there's been so much of this going on, so much violence, so much mayhem, so much pandemonium. Yeah. But with this was a little different. It seems that technology is taking a bend here, and I really got a sense of either a sonic or a wave type of activity with these armored vehicles in front of the either military or police behind them, really making haste to disperse instigators. I'll leave it at that. But they're using frequency, sound, or frequency like microwave.
Interesting. They have actually something like that. I understand that there was an initial request in Washington when President Trump walked out of the White House and crossed the street and to go to the church a couple months ago. There was a request actually for some type of a sound or heat weapon.
That's the sense I got. I said urban, riot-like, energy wave, sound, pushing back.
Yeah. It doesn't kill, but it freaks people out, and then they disperse.
Yeah,
according to the theory.
Yep.
I guess it depends on how upset they are.
I picked up the weight and the feel of the vehicles, and I picked up the energy emission of the vehicles, and we'll see.
Yeah, they apparently did not bring out that weapon when Trump had that walk across the street to the church. So it was a request, but it didn't. The military didn't use it. So you seem to be suggesting in this particular case, it might be actually used, and that would suggest that the confrontations that we're seeing here are more serious than the ones we saw in previous months. They wouldn't bring out that weapon unless it was more serious. That's my thought. I could be wrong, but
we shall see.
We shall see. Now, what do you have in the next one? This is page 7.
Yeah. So, and I can't say that I didn't AOL this because we've seen this many, many times the past few months. A presidential aircraft, Air Force One, if you will. But I got a sense this was like that. Doesn't mean it was. Large aircraft, steep climb, military aircraft surround. Cool, crisp, fresh, airy. And I put that last statement, presidential like Air Force One. I got that sense. And I captured it, I think, with the antenna on the top and sort of my rendering of the aircraft. Yeah. But the emote that I received was a sense of urgency and a steep climb. And characterized by an escort. It was a picture.
Now I want to emphasize to the audience that when a remote viewer sees something and makes what we call an SRV, a deduction, or in other fields of remote viewing, they call it an AOL, an analytic overlay, that does not mean that is what they're saying it is. So Rock is definitely not saying that is Air Force One or a presidential. It just gives them a feeling of it, a sense of it, and there could be something else associated with the jet that makes him have that feeling. Perhaps there's something from another country. Perhaps there's an important person in there,
right?
A rock star, and maybe it could be a rock star of all we know. But there is a sense that there is something important with this jet, with a military jet surrounding it. So usually with a deduction or an AOL, there's something correct in it, but we don't know what that correct thing is. there's an element in it that's correct, but we don't know what that correct thing is. Okay. Well, it's very weird that we get the next picture, so let's move right on to page 8.
Yeah, it is an interesting picture. I got the sense that this aircraft, as opposed to the other aircraft, was not making a steep climb, was making a steep descent based on a real problem in the fuselage. And it was a violent problem, explosive like. This craft breaks apart, and when I think we had discussed it earlier, did I have a sense if it was on the ground or in the air? And my sense is it's in the air with some big trouble. But I don't want to characterize this in any way, shape, manner, or form as the previous post or picture. They felt decidedly different in makeup and look.
Mm-hmm. Well, but there is something continuous about the session so far. We have a debris field above the earth, above the air, above the land. We have churning in the water. We have what looks like a rescue operation in water. And then we have aircraft going up, and then some aircraft running into some trouble. So this is sort of painting an overall picture of something happening up that has some type of military interest to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on now. Let's see if we can piece together anything more. Maybe this is one event or separate events. Your page 9, I can't quite figure that one out.
I couldn't really figure it out either. I just drew what was in my my mind's eye, if you will, and I picked up 2 towers. That was the distinctive aspect, and then something surrounding those towers, which could be structure, could be fence, could be a compound, maybe not. I don't want to think on that. What I picked up is what I picked up, and I said it was tropical-like, warm, airy, fresh, 2 towers, and a large enclosed area.
Wow.
The towers were the most definitive aspect of that.
The towers, somehow it's related to something that's going to happen this month or next month in October. And that one, we're just going to have to wait and see how that turns out.
Yep.
Okay, now, what's this next page related to? Page 10.
Why, Courtney, this was my aerial view. You know, I'm trying to make sense of what I'm seeing or viewing, and I got the definitive aspect of an aerial view, seeing a very urban, very dense area that was cordoned off by, and I'm not going to make any differentiation, by official vehicles, whether it's police or military, but heavily blocked. There's flashing lights, a sense that they're having to cordon off a very large area in a specific zone where they don't want anybody in there.
Wow.
I didn't see any.
Yeah, so this may or may not be.
I didn't see any trailing or following vehicles. I got a shot from the air and saw that picture and rendered it to the best of my ability.
Yeah. So this may or may not have anything to do with the earlier sketch you had with this confrontation.
Right. With the vehicles.
With the vehicles.
So
that may or may not, this new one may or may not relate to that confrontation page.
That's interesting. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the next one. You seems like you're back at the coast again. So that's 2 images.
Enjoying myself at the coast, and you know as well as I that when you get a couple definitive hits like that, you got to take a pregnant pause and go, you know, what's that all about? So.
Yeah, when it comes back twice. So we're just gonna have to wait. You have a steep coastline, a bunch of vehicles in the water, and steep slopes on the land. We'll just have to wait to see how that turns out. Right. But it came back twice, so somehow it's important. But now, what in the name of whatever is page 12. What's going on there? I can't figure that one
Yeah,
out.
they're in the water and they're struggling. They're having a problem. Some are in worse shape than others, but they all seem like I got a sense that some were in worse shape than others, I'll put it that way. But I got a sense that there were others that had enough vitality and energy to be struggling, yelling, but very exhausted.
So people in the water. Now we have that churning that you had in the water. We have some event that occurs in the air, churning in the water, and rescue boats, and 2 different pictures in the water, and now people in the water, and an aircraft that breaks. It's starting to sort of, I know we're not supposed to sort of make a story out of this, but it's starting to look like things are coming together, like a singular major event of some type.
Are you saying if it quacks like a duck?
Yeah, if it quacks like a duck and looks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
You know what's so
Okay.
funny? You know, I forget about it after I do the session, and I'm revisiting it now, and it's very interesting to look at it a little bit differently than when you're in session. When you're in session, there is no previous tile, there is no stacking. What do I have here? You're just going,
Yeah.
you know, shot after shot after shot. Whew, I'm done. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
You know, that's
interesting to
similar
review
to-
it. Yeah.
It's similar to my dreams. I have dreams that I record every night, and I write them down. I wake up, I force myself to write them down, and I type them up in the morning. And it's very interesting how accurate they are, but the pieces don't always make sense when I'm writing them down. They don't look like they're coherent sometimes in one story. But then when I type it out, I make an effort to try to tie the pieces together,
Right.
which is what we're trying to do here. And so you have images coming through, just like in a dream, and we're trying to interpret those images in a connected way. And they may or may not be, but often they are. So
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, now
Do you recall if you
everyone-
recall that water scene several months back, where
Yeah.
I didn't have people, I had what did I say? Human components. You know, it was post that
yeah.
disastrous missile strike on the Iranian ship.
Oh, yeah, and that turned out to be exactly what happened with Iran. It was a friendly fire mistake in the Iran Navy, and they blew apart a whole ship of theirs, and there were body parts all over the place. It was a absolutely
That
perfect
was the
remote viewing session.
the intensity of the verbiage of, you know, saying these were body components, because that's
Yeah.
what happened, and that was very
That's exactly
that
what
was very
happened.
interesting, because the awareness or the frequency or the perception of humans in a disastrous shape, you know, like componentized, was very real. And then the discerning whether I was in the water or on the land, but it was pretty close to the land.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, also for people who wonder if this is just, you know, sort of random stuff, that was a good example. I mean, there's been no similar story this whole year of a story like that Iranian attack, friendly fire attack on its own ship. There's nothing like that with body parts all over the. If you look at every single month, that's the only month this year where that type of thing happened. And that was the month you described it to happen. So in advance of it happening. On the right time, in the right month, and the whole everything.
And even where the missile literally hit midship.
Exactly, and you even said how it was hit. It was hit by a missile, and boom, it was exactly what happened. So for those people who wonder if this type of stuff works, you look for situations like that are rare, with a level of accuracy with details. And then when those things happen, and they're rare, they don't happen every month, especially with those details, you raise your eyebrows.
Take notice.
Yeah, very Spock-like. Very Spock-like. Remember how Spock used to raise his eyebrows? But he used to raise one eyebrow at a time. I can't do that. I can only raise. I try, but I.
Well, I hope.
Okay.
I hope and pray these people get help, and you know, we'll see.
Well, they certainly have a lot of boats out there trying to help them. So, but then again, if the cause of it is that plane that's cracking up because of some type of explosive event, that not everybody may make it, which makes me wonder about this other page. We have page 13.
Oh, I'm going to go page. Oh, there you go. All right.
That's our next one. So
this is a very interesting.
You explain that one.
Yeah, I will. So I got a sense, and actually I rendered it a couple times because I just wasn't getting the right vibe, and I'm not an artist. I tried to put something together that sort of fairly depicted the highlights, and what I got was a political figure, a central political figure from anywhere in the world. Let me just say that's all the sense I had. But there's a catastrophic event, and this individual departs the scene. He's of slight build, thin facial features, and I couldn't departs the scene. Catastrophe, dead or just gone. I couldn't. And I probed for that. I said, can I? But the interesting thing is, if we go back and we look at my 3 renderings of this figure, in the first one would be, if we go back to, is it in S2? Yeah.
And that's earlier in this session.
Yeah. If you go back to S2, you can see the same sort of brightness around this figure and the rendering there, which is interesting. You can also see the breakup of that craft in my initial, before I did a deeper probe to get more resolution. Yeah. And then in S3, if you take a look at this figure, it's almost spiritual-like, like surfacing.
Yeah.
And that puzzled me. But I drew what came to me in each of those layers, right? We go from primitives to much more detail. And so as I went from one hop to the next, I got a little bit of a different discernment in the picture.
Yeah, I should mention to the audience that these pictures that Rock does, S2 is sort of a brief snapshot of a whole bunch of images, and then S3 is trying to sort of put them all together on one page, and then S4 is where you go after each image and sort of fill it out. And so what we've been going through, and almost all of this session, is S4, but all of these images in S4 had an origin in an earlier part of the session as much smaller sketches that he later builds
and I'm
out.
sure you'll share these through this. Yeah, it'd be interesting to go back and see that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to see everything. Okay, let's move on. The next page doesn't have a sketch, but you have some words.
This was the weird. So I'm in my session, and I said, for a change, I'm just going to sort of, I'll detail some additional artifacts that came into my mind, not necessarily as part of the remote viewing process, but while I was in session. And because it seemed distinct from my focus in this protocol, I said, I'm going to make note of this, just put it here to the side, and we're going to talk about it for a moment and just get it on tap. We saw this, we had this sensation. So Singapore, and I'm just like, what's going on there? What's going on in Singapore? And I can't attach it to anything, but that was...
Yeah, now for the audience, you should know that this does not mean he's actually thinking Singapore, but there's something in the idea of Singapore that makes a connection with the type of perception that he's getting.
Right, exactly. So I flagged it.
There's something Singapore-ish in the feeling.
Right. The next was an extremely bright object in the sky, seen by many. And, we'll see.
We'll see.
And then this has been a repetitive of scene in every remote view for the past, I think, 3 sessions. If you go back even to, April,
yeah, you're right.
May, this whole thing about container ships, ports.
They're back. They're back. Container ships.
Offload containers, and I said Seattle, and that just came to my mind, and I had to just get this offloaded, and I said container ship, large port, similar, could be anywhere, but similar to Seattle. I said ships carrying ships carrying containers, underground complex, and a lot of negative energy through that whole area. And it has come like a yellow flash in several remote views. And I've rendered, the ship and the containers and the this and the that. But it's very interesting that keep going back to that. Like there's something sticky about that information field, if you will. It's not good. The best I can say that. So I felt it was worthwhile to render.
Containers are used to put things in. So if somebody was interested in transporting something or hiding something, that's a place where it would be. So,
and give or take, if you look at this model, the depiction of the structures in the foreground that's underground.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a similar depiction. If you go back into the sessions, it just hits me over and over. It's like
What? I didn't quite understand that. What do you mean is underground?
Oh, I'm saying if you look at the foreground and on page 15, you'll see a little sketch, and it looks almost like buildings.
Oh, okay. We're going to the next page. Page 15. Let's do that. Let's go to page 15 now and just describe what you're seeing there. Again, it's the coastline.
Right. It's a coastline with a port, and with that coastline and port is some level of underground complex. Right.
You had something about an underground complex and a port in the last session, and not the last month, but the month before that.
That's what I'd say. This same picture is seeping into the fabric of my sessions time and time again, and so I wanted to make note of it. I wasn't just going to let it go.
No, it would mean that something that's happening underground in a port city like that is of ongoing significance.
Of radiant significance, something.
Yeah.
To pick it up like
big,
that.
Yeah, no, big time. There's something that's underground in a port city that's having ongoing month after month significance to the events we're seeing. And the events that we're seeing over these last few months have been quite disruptive. And, it's hard to actually interpret everything because we seem to be moving into 2 or 3 months that has the potential for tremendous turmoil. So,
yeah, we might, if we all keep thinking there's going to be turmoil, there may very well be.
Yeah, I mean, we have now the potential for very significant protests that might happen. Especially, when we have a judicial appointment on the Supreme Court that might be pushed through in rapid time. There might be protests associated with that. And then we have an election that may be the first contested presidential election of that serious a nature ever. I mean, there was a contested election in 2000, Bush versus Gore. And that was resolved in the Supreme Court. But that was dealing with problems with the voting and the counting of the voting in Florida, only one state. There really wasn't a contest there wasn't a challenge with regard to about voting overall in the whole country. So it looks like there's a potential that may happen more widespread this time, and that might be associated with, and also with protests, and also with the next presidential election in the United States. We might have a situation where the voters that support one candidate might come out to vote on election day in greater numbers than the other candidate, and the voters that predominantly support the other candidate may send in mail ballots because of the coronavirus pandemic, in which case there would be the potential for one winner, apparent winner, on election evening. But as the next week and the week after unravel or unfold, the mail-in ballots would be counted. And so whoever wins on election night, that result may be reversed 1 or 2 weeks later as all the mail-in ballots, and that might lead to cries of foul and and lead to a contested election.
Sounds like a great script for a thriller.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, but it's hard for me to believe that the country's just going to sit around and watch as all of this is happening. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's tempting to say, who the heck knows? We can't see the future. But that's what we do. We see the future. So that is what we do. So, but sometimes what we see in the future is incomplete or partial. But that's also why we have multiple remote viewers doing this.
Yeah, but whose
So they get
future?
different-
Maybe we cross channels and see somebody else's future.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
Well, Rock, this was great. That's the end of this session. Do you have any final words you want to say on this session?
We're headed into a cascade of events. We feel we're not only headed, we are within this cascade, and I think that as we move forward in this timeline, keep your head about you. Watch the landscape.
Yeah.
Help everybody out you can. Give a little love to your brothers and sisters. Like we're one family. Let's get through this together. It's our choice.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think one of the most important words to summarize everything that we should do as a species in these troubled times is the word friendliness. When troubles get bad, remember, be human and have friendliness.
Yeah, it puts a smile on your face to help each other out, right?
Yeah.
The only way we're going to win this is through love and extending, our heartfelt empathy through those that are suffering. And, and the biggest twist is to actually express love to these people that would mean us harm, because that's the only way we're going to settle the dust.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm not so convinced there is such a thing as to win this. It seems like it's an ongoing, constant evolution of stuff. Although I do think all the evidence seems to be pointing in the direction of something really big building, not just over the next couple months, but over the next couple of years. And I think it probably could turn out good or bad. And so winning it would probably be having the good, more favorable
whatever the happy path
side
is,
of things.
whatever the happy path is, right?
Anyway, Rock, this is great. Thanks so much. And we'll wrap it up, and we'll hopefully see you next month with another spine-tingling thriller of what's going to happen in November.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for doing this and all your hard work.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks so much for doing this. It's not easy to find time in the month to actually do a session like this. Actually, it takes Rock a few days to do a session, something like this. And so, thanks, Rock. So we'll see you all later. Take care, everybody.
Okay. This is my first visual. I've got land and water interface going on. There's water back here. Okay. On this land, I have a lot of structures as well. It looks like many structures, like a city is kind of set up here against the shoreline. Tons of structures. I also sense that there's something out here, some sort of structure out here. And from that structure, I see a lot of energetics kind of existing. And it kind of drifts away, over here onto the structures and where the city is. Inside of here, there's there's a couple of subjects here, but it feels kind of like a ghost town, like it's been a little abandoned or cleared out in some sort of way. So here's my second visual. Again, I've got this land here. And I see like two large structures, very tall. And there's other structures surrounding these, but I just see like these two right here, and they kind of look like huge, big, like tower almost looking structures, kind of like you know, just like resorts, like how like big they are, and they're like stacked on top of each other. That's kind of what this area is looking like. But when I say like empty area, I mean like empty area, okay? There's like nobody here. So yeah, there's nobody here. It's like dead silent almost, and it kind of just, you just kind of can only feel and hear like energy radiate. So I just see like these clouds kind of like coming upon these structures almost, kind of, you know? It's like the clouds are coming from further back. So all these kind of clouds are existing, these energetics. All these energetics kind of sitting back here, coming and basically taking over like the structures, covering the structures in this smoke and this energetics. Okay, so yeah, just all this smoke and all this energetics here. Again, I'm sensing that there are subjects here. There's very few of them, and none of them seem to be like on the base surface. If the subjects that are here are definitely inside of these structures. And then again, all these energetics are coming from this. They seem to just be coming from a central location right here, where there seems to be something. There seems to be something like hard right here, you know, some sort of structure of some sort that seems to be right there. So yeah, just the water in the backdrop too, don't forget. There's water back here. There's a shoreline right here, some sort of structure out here that seems to be giving off this like exploding power to a lot of smoke, a lot of energetics that seems to kind of just like whoosh, like take over this whole area of this whole area. Okay, so this is my last visual. I see the shoreline again, but this time the shoreline looks like super far away. I can see the little, you know, points of structures here. Structure, big structure, like a huge one. That one just looks horribly crazy, but you get the gist. Like a big structures here, big structures. Some of them are pointed, some of them are not. And just from far away, it kind of just looks like pointy stuff. These are definitely structures. And then like right in front of my face, I have this large body of water. So right here, it's just straight up water waving. Water and waves. Hey, Liz did. Oh gosh, someone stop. Anyway, so again, water, distant structures, distant city in the background. Again, there's just cloud dynamics everywhere. Like, right, it just feels like I'm in the center of it now. So all these cloud dynamics must be coming from where this body of water is, because what I mean is just like horrible sound. You get the gist though, guys. Smoke everywhere. Everywhere. And it all seems to be coming right here. And I just hear these, it's like a very faint sound, but again, it sounds just like everything is silent around me. And it's just like time is standing still here, and smoke and something, some sort of hard structure seems to be kind of giving off this smoke here against this shoreline of an empty town where subjects kind of are, but not really, like the town's been evacuated. So yeah. So moving to the target event. On the base surface, I hear a lot of rumbling, a lot of natural sounds. I sense that there's a lot of chaos here. I feel a lot of energy movement, a lot of there's activity going on. The subjects feel like there's like little to no subjects here. I mean, there's maybe a couple here, but for the most part, it feels like a lot of the subjects are gone compared to just the size of this city. There's just way too many structures here for there to be so few people. And I just feel like there's a lot of energy here, a lot of energy movement, and there's a lot of structures here as well. And these structures seem to be clashing with this activity. It feels like the structures shake. It feels like the structures move. Whatever this energy is, this forceful energy movement, energetics, is definitely shaking and moving these structures here as well. Yeah, again, the activity, or no, cut that out. Yeah, so the event just feels like something kind of big is kind of giving off a lot of energetics, is exploding, pushing energy movement, and it feels like the town's kind of like it already knew it was gonna happen, you know, or just because the town's empty, like there's really like nobody here, but this is rocking the structures and moving the structures here, and it just feels slightly chaotic as well, and it feels like it doesn't feel like destructive in a sense, but it definitely has some force behind it. Moving to the activity of this target event, the activity here feels very just forceful. The activity feels like pushing. It feels just like a lot of energetics being pushed in a general direction. So again, this is just like, when I mean like the activity feels like this, guys, and then all of this being like pushed this way with all this force, like that is what the energy of this target feels like here. So that is what the energy of this target feels like here. Activity by subjects, again, it feels very low, it feels very minuscule. The activity by these subjects feels like it's not really doing anything for anyone. It just kind of feels like they're moving around or kind of moving in confined spaces. Again, all the activity here feels definitely coming from some sort of energetic, like natural, kind of man-made but natural sense, if that makes sense. It's just very forceful. That's how the activity feels. It feels forced, it feels pushed, and it feels like it's centrally located around these energetics, these cloud dynamics here, and not necessarily around these subjects. Moving to the original cause of this event, it feels so distant, right? This area feels distant. It feels like it's very far away from this target right now. It feels like it's like all the way like over here, like miles away. That's where the cause is coming from. Kind of just feels like that. And it feels like I'm being like shifted over. I'm being shifted somewhere else, and the somewhere else is far. And here it just feels like it doesn't really feel like anything is keeping it restricted or constricted, confined. There we go. It's not really keeping anything confined in this area. It definitely just feels like whatever's happening here is like supposed to happen because something is making it happen. It's not really something that could have been prevented. It was kind of the inevitable happening. It almost has this like sense of naturalness to it. But yeah, that's all I see at this target here.
This is like a base surface with multiple structures on it. I'm also sensing a lot of land-water interface. something on water. I'm sensing a lot of movement on water. I'm also noticing humidity and something warm temperatured. I'm also noticing hard structures that are man-made, very large and heavy, fast movement. I'm noticing some sort of land-water interface nearby. There are subjects nearby as well. This environment is very wet or humid or warm temperatured. I'm sensing a lot of movement. Movement by subjects. I'm noticing a lot of movement by subjects. This land-water interface is very warm temperatured. The movement from this structure here is similar to a boat or like a vehicle on water. There are subjects on the base surface of land. These subjects are tan skin toned and they do not speak English. I don't sense any English speaking languages. I'm noticing that the subjects are coming from the water onto land. Something about subjects coming to and from water and land, water and land, water and land. But there's a structure on water that these subjects are going into, or there's a structure on water where subjects are coming off of and going onto land. Both. I'm noticing a lot of gray colors and a mixture of random colors on this boat. Red, yellow, orange, green, red, white, blue, black, white, red, orange. Yeah, there's a lot of different colors on this structure that's similar to a boat. That has to do with subjects moving to and from it. The emotions from the subject that is here, I'm noticing multiple subjects. There's multiple emotions coming from the subjects on land. I'm noticing a lot of masculine or male subjects, strong, hairy, pale tanned skin, not sensing very much clothing. There are human subjects here in this environment. The event of the movement is related to land. I'm noticing that this environment has a lot of water near land. There's a land-water interface, and I'm sensing mountains and hills. This human-like subject is moving. There's a lot of movement from subjects on land. I'm also noticing multiple structures on land that subjects are surrounding. Multiple subjects on some hill-like or irregular topography. This base surface with lots of busy movement and sporadic multi-directional movement coming from structures and subjects. This land-water interface is filled field with a lot of foliage nearby. There's lots of subjects moving upward. I'm noticing a lot of upward movement on a mountain or hill. The brightness of light continues to shine on something. I'm sensing a lot of bright light. I'm noticing some sort of thumping sound, like a rhythmic thumping, like music, but or drums or some type of rhythm. I'm sensing emotions surrounding this like rhythm or music. I'm continuing to sense heavy objects being moved upward on a hill or a mountain, like subjects trying to get to the top of a hill. I'm noticing that the structure on water that has multiple structures inside and on it. Subjects are like moving to and from this boat-like thing onto land, and then up a hill, and then down the hill, and then back to and then back again to this boat. I'm noticing something about this structure on water continues to remind me of objects like food and music and children, survival, money, music. I'm noticing a lot of different emotions revolved around what's on this structure near this land-water interface. Something about subjects continue to go inside of these containers or these like structures or these objects or these square-like things on a moving structure on water. The subjects nearby speak English and a different language. I'm continuing to hear sentences and phrases that remind me of English, but also sentences and phrases that are nowhere near English at all. The subjects I continue to sense movement and little to no clothing, like male subjects that are like either shirtless and really hairy, or I'm sensing clothing, but it's not cloth. I notice the color green a lot. The foliage nearby this environment is really, really tall and high. And I continue to hear a loud shouting or yelping sound, like a call. A lot of sounds of thumping or drumming or tapping. I'm noticing a really, really loud shouting sound that is not English at all. The purpose for this event that is going on is because of survival or money or continue to hear movement that remind me of dancing, but it's on purpose. There's an intention here. There's a purpose for this. There's lots of movement because of trying to get something, or something has been achieved. There's like a celebration. There's like some sort of happy emotion revolved around what's going on a mountain or a hilltop. something about water and children and survival and happiness. But there's like a lot of heavy movement and busy work and lots of stress about what is going up a hill. The subjects in this environment are what I'm going to probe for. I'm noticing that the subjects in this environment are running. There's a lot of running and a lot of fast movement. Noticing tan skin that is really hairy. The movement is coming from subjects that are male, and they're really strong and they're carrying something fast. Very fast. I'm noticing the skin tone is darker tan. The movement of this subjects or these subjects in this environment is moving upward on a hill or mountain-like area with lots of foliage nearby. They're carrying the word supplies continues to come to my mind. I'm noticing a lot of shouting and talking and running, but I'm also noticing the word prayer and intention coming from these subjects, like a haste or a busyness of needing to pray about something or speak to each other about something that needs to be prayed for. These subjects are really focused on doing something together. There's a focused gathering with male subjects around something that's revolved around fire. I'm noticing a lot of smoking and burning smells at the moment. The subjects are not negative about the smoke and the burning. I'm noticing that they are nearby something that's on fire or burning. I'm noticing that the subjects are happy and they're excited about what's being burned, or something revolved around intention and it has to get done, but there's a busyness around what is being done in this area, and it has to do with what's coming from a structure on land, on a land-water interface, similar to the boat that I was sensing earlier. This subject is really strong. I'm continuing to hear the rhythm of a drum, of the rhythm of a loud thumping. Whether it's stomping or thumping from a drum, I'm continuing to hear it coming from this subject and the subjects nearby. The words I'm hearing are very loud, but it's also similar to like screaming. I heard the phrase shouting to the sky. I'm continuing to sense that there's shouting, and it's not at each other. There's a happiness to the shouting. There's like a continuous, like, there's a continuous movement of these subjects in a pattern, like a circle, like a group intention of moving together in a circle, like a happy celebration of praying about something that's going on, and it's bright as day. I continue to sense something very bright, whether it's coming from fire or the sky. I'm sensing something about the air is really bright, and I'm sensing fire being emitted. There's lots of energetics of fire and smoke nearby. The subject is rough. I'm noticing little to no clothing, lots of prayer is going on. I'm noticing that the subjects that are around, they all look similar, and they speak both English and a different language. The phrases that I'm hearing are continuously English, and it's revolved around something that has to do with more children, and like children, or more food, or more water, or more blessings, more happiness, more prayer, I'm noticing lots of praying for something, but it's not negative at all. It's like a celebration. I'm going to probe for why there's a land-water interface structure nearby. This man-made structure on water, this man-made structure on water, I'm noticing it has to do with something that relates to taking from this land area. Something about this area has subjects that continue to move to and from a mountainous environment to the land-water interface. Something is being taken from the land to that structure on water. I'm noticing that some of these subjects know that is happening, and some of these subjects do not know that is happening, that there is subjects going from the land to the structure that is on water. I'm sensing that the structure on water has to do with something that is negative and positive. This structure on water is filled with subjects, but it also is filled with different things, different objects, different things inside of structures. There's structures on top of this land-water interface structure, and it's something about it is positive and something about it is negative. The subject that is continuing to go back and forth, the multiple subjects that continue to go back and forth from this land-water interface to this structure is the reason why they're praying. It kind of reminds me of an island that this location is, and I'm noticing humid temperatures, and the environment is very, very, very high in irregular topography. But the subjects that are noticing that this structure or this boat that's nearby that these subjects continue to go up a hill, up and down a hill for. This structure that's on water has lots of structures on it. And it's like these subjects are running to this land-water interface structure and taking things off, or taking people off, or taking subjects off and things off of this land-water interface and running back up like a hill or a mountain or a really steep peak. And these subjects are happy about what they're getting, but they're also not happy about like this thing right here, or the reason why there's things on here. There's subjects on this structure that's being taken off and going up a hill like to be prayed for, but they weren't supposed to be there. It's like an excitement about like this subject. These subjects that continue to run up and down, up and down, up and down this hill to like take off things off of this structure. It's just like, yes, finally, let's pray about it. And then this is like this entire like boat or the structures that used to be filled with things and subjects are now empty and on the island because of these subjects. Or on the land, on the hill and on the mountain because these subjects took them off and just ran. I'm noticing a lot of running here. Why? There are subjects on this structure there are subjects on this structure that are both alive and dead. And I'm noticing that the subjects that are running to and from this structure are seeing that and they're praying about it. Death. I'm noticing a lot of subjects on this structure that aren't alive, and some of them are running. And I'm noticing something related to stealing or theft or something about the things inside of this container or these structures on this boat-like thing on water has to do with negativity. Why? The target event has to do with something sad becoming happy. I'm noticing that the event is revolved around something being taken from the land, but being like, is going back to the land of this environment by subjects. Like there's subjects on the land that is taking something back and praying about it. Intentionally. On purpose, like it was, there was a reason, there's a plan for it. There was structured way to do this. I'm sensing like a celebration or a liberation of something being returned. Noticing something that continues to revolve around the word children and happiness and dancing and celebrating. The emotions I'm feeling about this target is confusion towards why this continues to revolve around stealing or death and theft. But happiness inside coming from the subjects like that are on the land. These male subjects have a really happy, excited feeling. The subjects on the structure are really confused or dead. Not really positive emotions coming from that.
Okay, so let's draw some conclusions from these data. October is apparently going to be a really event-filled month. When I looked at these reports, I asked myself if it is even possible to have so many powerful events happen all in one month. Any one of these reported events would normally make for a very newsworthy month, but all of them together. Look, friends, you have now seen the reports. The only thing you need from me at this point is to say that I am looking at October just the same way you are, with my eyes wide open. These are experiments in remote viewing, and we could be wrong, but our track record with the application of remote viewing is really strong. So, well, let's just wait and see, together, what happens during the month. I'm sure we will get some things right and some things wrong, but the unique character of these forecasted events is such that we should have no trouble identifying them if and when they occur. So that is it for our October 2020 edition of Farsight's Human News, the news before it happens. Thank you for watching. Please also join us next month in November 2020 for another look into the future of Earth humans. Also be sure to look for the new releases on farsightprime.com this month, including our live stream events happening each Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern U.S. Time, the Farsight ET News on October 7th, the October 25th live intelligence briefing with myself, the major new mysteries release on October 15th, Ra, the Sun God, as well as the next Farsight 2-month economic forecast. I am Courtney Brown, Director of Farsight.